This song is called Alice's Restaurant, and it's about Alice and the restaurant. But Alice's Restaurant is not the name of the restaurant, that's just the name of the song. That's why it's called the song Alice's Restaurant. You got that? Good. You can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant. You can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant. Walk right in, it's around the back, just a half a mile from the railroad track. You can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant. Now, it all started 2 Thanksgivings ago. It was about 2 years ago on Thanksgiving, when my friend and I went up to visit Alice at the restaurant, but Alice doesn't live in the restaurant. She lives in the church nearby. The restaurant in the bell tower with her husband Ray and Fasher the dog. And living in the bell tower like that, they got a lot of room downstairs where the pews used to be, and having all of that room, seeing as they took out all the pews, they decided they didn't have to take out their garbage for a long time. We got up there, we found all the garbage in there, and we decided it'd be a friendly gesture for us to take the garbage down to the city dump. So we took the half a ton of garbage, put in the back of a VW microbus, took shovels and rakes and implements of destruction, and headed on towards the city dump. Well, we got there and there was a big sign and a chain across the dump saying closed on Thanksgiving. We had never heard of a dump closed on Thanksgiving before, and with tears in our eyes we drove off into the sunset looking for another place to put the garbage. We didn't find one. Till we came to a side road, and off that side road, there was another 15-foot cliff, and at the bottom of the cliff there was another pile of garbage. And we decided that one big pile of garbage is better than 2 little piles. And rather than bring that up, we decided to throw ours down, and that's what we did. Drove back to the church and had a Thanksgiving dinner that couldn't be beat. Went to sleep, didn't get up till the next morning, when we got a phone call from Officer Obi. He said, "Kid, we found your name on an envelope at the bottom of half a ton of garbage. Just wanted to know if you had any information about it." And I said, "Yes, sir, Officer Obi, I cannot tell a lie. I put that envelope under that garbage." After speaking to him for about 45 minutes on the telephone, we finally arrived at the truth of the matter and said we had to go down and pick up the garbage, and also had to go down and speak to him at the police officer station. So we got in the red VW microbus with shovels and rakes and implements of destruction and headed on down towards the police officer station. Now, friends, there was only 1 or 2 things that Obi could have done at that police station, and the first was that he could have given us a medal for being so brave and honest on the telephone, which wasn't very likely as we didn't expect it. And the other thing was that he could have bawled us out and told us never to be driving garbage around in the vicinity again, which is what we expected. But when we got to the police officer station, there was a third possibility that we hadn't even counted upon, and we was both immediately arrested, handcuffed, and I said, "Obi, I didn't think I can pick up the garbage with these handcuffs on." He said, "Shut up, kid. Get in the back of that patrol car," and that's what we did. Sat in the back of the patrol car and drove to the quote of scene of the crime, unquote. I want to tell you about the town of Stockbridge, Massachusetts, where this happened here. They got 3 stop signs, 2 police officers, and 1 police car. When we got to the scene of the crime, there was 5 police officers, 3 police cars, and being the biggest crime of the last 50 years, and everybody wanted to get in. The newspaper story about it, they was using up all kinds of cop equipment that they had hanging around. The police officer station, they was taking plaster tire tracks, footprints, dog smelling prints. They took 27 8x10 color glossy photographs with circles and arrows and a paragraph on the back, each one explaining what each one was, it used to be, and the evidence against us. Took pictures of the approach, the getaway, the northwest corner, the southwest corner, and that's not to mention the aerial photography. After the ordeal, we went back to the jail Obie said he was going to put us in the cell. Said, "Kid, I'm going to put you in the cell. I want your wallet and your belt." I said, "Obie, I can understand you wanting my wallet so I don't have to have money and spend on the cell, but what do you want my belt for?" And he said, "Kid, we don't want any hangings." I said, "Obie, did you think I was going to hang myself for littering?" Obie said he was sure, and friends Obie cause he took out the toilet seat so I couldn't hit myself with the head and drown. He took out the toilet paper so I couldn't bend the bars, roll out the toilet paper out the window, slide down the roll, and have an escape. Obie was making sure, and it was about 4 or 5 hours later that Alice, remember Alice? It's a song about Alice. Alice came by with a few nasty words to Obie on the side, bailed us out of the jail, and we went back to the church and had another Thanksgiving dinner that couldn't be beat, and we didn't get up till the next morning when we all had to go to court. We walked in, sat down. Obie came in with the 27 8x10 color glossy pictures with the circles and arrows and a paragraph on the back of each one. Sat down. Man came in and said, "All rise." We all stood up, and Obie stood up with the 27 8x10 color glossy pictures, and the judge walked in, sat down with a seeing eye dog. He sat down. We sat down. Obie looked at the seeing eye dog and then at the 27 8x10 color glossy pictures with the circles and arrows and a paragraph on each one, and looked at the seeing eye dog, and then at the 27 8x10 color glossy pictures with the circles and arrows and a paragraph on each of one, and began to cry because Obie came to the realization that it was a typical case of American blind justice, and he could do nothing about it. And the judge wasn't going to look at one of those 27 8x10 color glossy pictures with the circles and arrows and paragraph on the back of each one, explaining what each was and the evidence against us. We was fined $50 and had to pick up the garbage in the snow. But that's not what I came to tell you about. We came to talk about the draft. They got a building down in New York City. It's called Whitehall Street, where you walk in, you get injected, inspected, detected, infected, neglected, and selected. I went down to get my physical examination one day, and I walked in. I sat down, got good, and drunk the night before. So I looked and felt my best when I went in that morning, because I wanted to look like the all-American kid from New York City. Man, I wanted to feel like I wanted to be that all-American kid from New York City. I walked in, I sat down, I was hung down, brung down, hung up, and all that kind of mean, nasty, ugly things that I walked in. And I sat down, and they gave me a piece of paper and said, "Kid, see the psychiatrist, room 604. And I went up there. I said, "Shrink, I want to kill. I want to kill. I want to see blood and gore and guts and veins in my teeth. Eat dead, burnt bodies. I mean, kill. Kill." And I started jumping up and down and yelling, "Kill, kill, kill." And he started jumping up and down with me, and we was both jumping up and down and yelling, "Kill, kill." And the sergeant came over, pinned a medal on me and sent me down the hall and said, "Boy, didn't feel too good about it. Proceed on down the hall, getting more injections, inspections, detections, neglections, and all that kind of stuff as they doing to me at the thing there." I was there for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. I was there for a long, long time, going through all kinds of mean, nasty, ugly things, and I was just about having that tough time. And they was there inspecting, ejecting, evicting every single part of me, and I was leaving no part untouched. Proceeded through. When I finally came to see the very last man, I walked in, I sat down. I said a whole big thing there, and I walked up and I said, "Hey, what do you want?" He said, "Kid, we got one question. Have you ever been arrested?" And I proceeded to tell him the story of Alice's Restaurant Massacre with the full orchestration and 5-part harmony and stuff like that and all the phenomena. And he stopped me right there and said, "Kid, did you ever go to court?" And I proceeded to tell him the story of the 27 8x10 color glossy pictures with the circles and arrows and the paragraphs on the back of each one. And he stopped me right there and said, "Kid, I want you to go and sit down on that bench that says Group W. Now, kid." And I walked over to that bench, and there's this Group W's. It's right there. They put you if you may not be moral enough to join the army after committing your special crime. And there's all kinds of mean and ugly, nasty-looking people on that bench. And there's mother rapers and father stabbers and father rapers and father rapers sitting right there on that bench next to me, and one man that was mean and nasty and ugly and horrible crime type guys sitting there on that bench. And the meanest, ugliest, nastiest one of the meanest father raper of them all was coming over to me, and he was mean and ugly and nasty and horrible and all kinds of things. And he sat down next to me and said, "Kid, what'd you get?" I said I didn't get nothing. I had to pay $50 and pick up the garbage. He said, "What were you arrested for, kid?" I said, "Littering." And they all moved away from me from the bench. There in the hairy eyeball and all kinds of mean, nasty things till I said, "Creating a nuisance." And they all came back, shook my hand. We had a great time on that bench, talking about crime, mother stabbing, father raping, all kinds of groovy things that we was talking about on that bench. And everything was fine. We was smoking cigarettes and all kinds of things until the sergeant came over, had some papers in his hands, held it up and said, "Kid, this piece of paper's got 47 words, 37 sentences, 58 words. We want to know the details of the crime, time of the crime, and all the other kind of things you say pertaining to it. And the crime, I want to know arrested officer's name and all kinds of things." You gotta see talk for 45 minutes. Nobody understood a word, but he said we had fun filling out the forms and playing with the pencils on the bench there. And I filled out the massacre with a 4-part harmony and wrote it down there just like it was, and everything I was fine. And I put down the pencil and I turned over the piece of paper, and right there. Then on the other side, in the middle of the other side, away from everything else on the other side, in parentheses, capital letters, quotated, read the following words: "Kid, have you rehabilitated yourself?" I went over to the sergeant and I said, "Sergeant, you got a lot of damn gall to ask me if I've rehabilitated myself. I mean, I'm sitting here on the bench. I'm sitting here in the Group W bench. Because you want to know if I'm moral enough to join the army, burn women and kids' houses and villages after being a litterbug." He looked at me and said, "Kid, we don't like your kind around here. We're going to send your fingerprints off to Washington and friends. Somewhere in Washington, enshrined in a little folder, is a study in black and white of my fingertips." And the only reason I'm singing this song now is because you may know somebody in a similar situation, or you may have been in a similar situation yourself. And that if you're in a situation like that, there's only one thing you can do, and that's walk into the shrink wherever you are. Just walk in and say, "Shrink, shrink, listen to me, shrink. You can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant." Walk out. If you know one person, just one person does it, let me think he's really sick, they won't take him. And if two people do it in harmony, they may think you're both, and they won't take either of them. And if 3 people do it, Well, you can imagine three people walking in, singing a bar of Alice's restaurant and walking out, and let me think, it's an organization. And can you imagine 50 people in a day? I said 50 people in a day walking in and singing a bar of Alice's restaurant. Walking in, friends, they may think it's a movement. That's what it is. The Alice's Restaurant Anti-Massacre Movement. And all you gotta do to join is to sing the next time it comes around on the guitar with feeling. So we'll wait for it to come around on the guitar here and sing it when it does. Sing with me. Here it comes. You can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant. You can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant. Walk right in, it's around the back, just a half a mile from that railroad track. You can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant. Can you hear me? That was horrible. Terrible. You want to end war and stuff, you gotta sing loud. You can put it loud. I've been singing this song now for 25 minutes. I could sing it for another 25 minutes. I'm not proud. Or tired. So we'll wait till it comes around again, and this time with 4-part harmony and feel it. Sing it, chat. We're just waiting for it now to come around. That's what we're doing. Here we go. All right now. You can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant. Excepting Alice. You can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant. I said walk right in, it's around the back, just a half a mile from the railroad track. Yeah, you can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. At Alice's restaurant.